Get started, man. All right, I'm gonna put the I'm going to put this away for now. Put the count away from. All right, y'all. So, let's see, get my hair out the way. Before I start, I want to make sure everything's working good. So I'm gonna just check some stuff. Yeah. We good to go. Share, share, share. All right. Everything's everything's good. Everything looks good. So this is the Nate Silver podcast. This is gonna be episode 7. So, um, for those of y'all who are new, I do the podcast um daily. This was like a daily thing for me 2 years ago. I would get on here around when I was like 19. Um, I would get on the podcast and I would just talk about different topics, that were controversial or things that were going on at the moment. And so with this podcast, it's basically branched around, just the culture aspect and kind of like, um, kind of shifting the narrative as far as the perspective of how we see the culture. So I basically made this podcast to be free. I wanted it to be like an open session, an open type of um, podcast, and I wanted it to be um, kind of universal. I wanted it to be something that was kind of um, I just wanted it to be like something that was like not condemned by certain aspects. I just wanted it to be like versatile, but also diverse. Um, so I took a break from podcasting for about 2 years. I had some things that I had to get squared away as far as my living situation, where I was staying at the time. I was staying with my parents. I wasn't at in this apartment that I'm in now. Um, the apartment tour, I'll have a tour of it. I'll drop it on YouTube. It'll be on the Nate Silver podcast channel. Um, and it'll just be like a quick tour of the place I'm staying at now. Um, and so yeah, so when I ended up leaving the house that I was at, I had to go through a series of different trials, and I was trying to find jobs, and I was trying to find different different places to stay, and just trying to get myself situated, coming from college. Um, and so it was a little difficult to maintain a stable situation. So that was really the reason I wasn't able to post consistently. Everything was very hectic, and it wasn't on a straightforward line. But now I'm back, and I'm able to get back to my viewers, get back to my subscribers, and get back to the followers, the people who have liked, commented, and have shared my podcast across different platforms. The people who have listened to my podcast on Spotify, and the people who have um, supported me even when I was gone and I wasn't um, posting every day. And so yeah, so I'm back and I'm ready to be more consistent. I'm ready to be more transparent, and I'm ready to get back to my viewers and be a positive influence over their lives and other people as well. Um, so yeah, so without further ado, I'm just gonna go ahead and um, introduce this podcast. This is episode 7 of the Nate Silver podcast. Um, this is gonna be called Nate Silver is back, and it's gonna be a good one. We're gonna go over a lot of different things that have been going on in my life, but also in the world as well. And it's gonna be a very interesting podcast episode. Um, and another thing, for the um for the people who are new, um, I do this podcast on YouTube and Spotify. So if you don't see it on YouTube, then you're always, welcome to listen to it on Spotify. Um, of course, there's no video, so if you want to see it with the video, or um, then that's only for YouTube. It's not for Spotify. Um, I'll have a link in the description for all the places the that the podcast is streamed on, but it's only YouTube and Spotify. Those are the only two ways to listen to this podcast. Um, yeah. So this is episode 7. Um, yeah. So going back to what I was saying, the last episodes that I recorded were 2 years ago. So it's been a little minute. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have transpired and have just altered the course of um, my life. Um, I was finding different jobs, and it was just kind of was like a very tense but very confusing situation. Um, Getting a car was a problem. Um, just being in a stable environment was a problem. Certain people feel a certain way. You know, um, everybody's kind of living their life um, the way they envision it, and so it kind of leaves you at a standstill of what direction you want to take your life in. And so that's that's kind of the that was kind of the state I was in. I was just trying to figure out where I wanted to go with my life at that point 2 years ago. Um, so eventually, I went through different paths, but eventually I ended up getting a job, and I ended up getting a car, and everything ended up working out fairly decent at the moment. And so I would like to say that, with that being said, being more consistent is kind of like that's kind of like my first inclination. That's kind of like the first thing that I look forward to doing, being more open and being more receptive to my 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 subscribers who have waited for my return. Um, I've dropped a couple different projects while I've been in this kind of slump. Um, if y'all aren't familiar with my Nate Silver channel, which is kind of like the channel I do my polished work in, my short films, my regular films, and a couple of my songs. I'll have a link to that in the description as well. But that channel. I ended up doing a couple different short films. I have the Change short film, and I also have Iris, which is a short film um, that stars my brother, and it's on YouTube. Um, I've also started a music video page, which is kind of like my director page. That's kind of like a page where I post some of my work that I do with other artists as well, rap artists and other hip hop artists, things of that nature. Um, and so those two channels are consistently growing. They're blossoming, and they're doing fairly well. Um, yeah, I'll have links to all those different platforms in the description. Um, and if you go to my Instagram, if y'all follow me on Instagram, official Nate Silver, um, it's also in my bio as well, my link tree. So just a couple different projects I've been working on. If you're interested, um, yeah, and it's just been a that's pretty much been like the circumference of what I've been doing so far. Um, and yeah, if you're listening to this at home, y'all won't be able to comment because there's no comment section on Spotify. But you know, if you're looking at this on YouTube, drop a comment. Let me know how you're feeling or what y'all want me to talk about next, or how y'all feel about the podcast. You know, I've had people who have commented and said that what I was saying was valuable to what they had going on in their life, and so I really appreciate the support. We've been able to amass a number of around I think around 150 followers on Spotify at the moment, and I'm very appreciative, and I couldn't ask for um, more than that. Um, so yeah, it's just been a tough journey, but everything's working out. So yeah. And like I said before, I made a video on this, but like I said, the podcast channel right at the moment I'm doing it on Twitch. So if you want to see the podcast live, just follow the Twitch. Link will also be in the description, and you can watch it live. I'm gonna try to do it every night. I work from 3:30 to 11:30. So around 1 a.m. I'm gonna try to stream every night and try to make sure I see the get to my fans as much as possible. And I'm gonna be live every night at 1 a.m. Um, and the reason for that is because of my camera situation at the moment. Um, usually when I would do the podcast, I would do it a certain way. I would you know, take both the camera footage and the Zoom podcast footage. I mean, podcast audio, and I would sync it in post, and then I give it to you on YouTube and Spotify. Um, but at the moment, I don't have access to certain technology, so this is a more stable way, but it's also a more clinical way to go about um, that situation. Um, yeah, and as far as my TikTok and everything, I have all those. Um, I have all those. I have all those socials, and they'll be in this they'll be in the description. So, yeah. I've just been working. I've just been working patiently. Just been, saving money, trying to build what I have going on right now. There's been a lot of people who have, kind of exited my life. Not willingly, but more so just like from a just kind of like a mutual standpoint. Um, Sometimes I find myself being alone very much. Um, and so when I'm alone, I have to, I do a lot of thinking, I do a lot of planning and, strategizing. Um, and so it's always, it could sometimes be difficult to gather your thoughts. Um, you know, but I've taken some time to, kind of reflect on what I want to do. I've been reading some literature. I've been, kind of staying patient and just, working on things uh, piece by piece, trying to put things together in unison. You know, so I think that's kind of where I'm at in my life right now. 2 years ago, when I was 19, I was coming off my second year in college, and I kind of was I was a mass comm major, and it kind of was like very difficult to gather my thoughts as far as what I want to do exactly. I kind of didn't have a lot of that thinking put together. Um, and so I had to really lock in and focus and really understand the fact that that time is short and time is getting short, and a lot of things are changing very quickly. And sooner or later, I'm gonna have to make a decision as far as what I want to do with my life moving forward. Um, and I think the biggest thing is just understanding the fact that we don't have much time to make certain decisions. So now is the time. Now is the time to kind of reflect, and now is kind of the time to be more um, be more resilient. To kind of grow a thicker skin, and not being afraid to express yourself inside of your art or your work. And it's definitely not the time to kind of hold back. It's the time to grow um, in every aspect. Um, yeah, there shouldn't be um, any more restraint, or any more like feeling like um, you're not able to uh, post a certain uh, post a certain post, or make a certain project because you're scared of the opinions of other people. It's definitely the time to step outside the box, and to to outbranch your aspects to outbranch your aspects. And the thing I'm trying to do is just be better than I was the day before. Just taking things day by day, and not letting past thoughts get to me. 'Cause that's another thing. I tend to reflect on things of the past um, very much. I reflect on the past, and I ask myself if some of the things I've been through, if it really was authentic. That goes for like relationships, and that also goes for situations I've had to go through. Like, was it really that authentic, or was I believing it to be more than what it actually was? For instance, when it comes to um, uh, some of the relationships I've dated, I ask myself you know, was it as authentic as I thought it would be? You know, if it was supposed to last forever, and if it was, and if that's what was the goal, and that was the mission, that was what was supposed to happen. If it was supposed to last forever and it didn't, then what was the purpose? Like, what was the was it as real as I thought it was, or was I believing it to be more than what it actually was? And that goes into um that's kind of a outpick on something, a project that I'm working on right now. It's actually it's kind of um a fragment of what I'm working on. It's a short film. It's called The Man in Isolation, and that's another short film that I'm probably gonna release this year, 2026. And it's about that feeling. It's about understanding the fact that you were just in isolation the entire time. You know, if you're around people and you're talking to people and you say you have friends, and you know, sooner or later you come back to the void by yourself when you're in your room, when you're alone, and you just ask yourself and you realize that um um I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chat. Hell, the mess yeah, and you realize that you were just around yourself the entire time. You know, when you're talking to people and you're talking to, you know, you say you have friends, you say you have colleagues, um, but eventually you come back to reality. You realize that, you know, you really were just around yourself the entire time. You know, people are gonna be around you. They're gonna be in your face. Um, they're gonna act as if they're embracing you, but really they're just going off what you're giving them. And then when you leave the room or when you exit, um, they're gonna give their feedback on how they perceive you to be. They're gonna give you their perception. Some people feel like their perception is the most authentic. Others just, you know, kind of come up with conclusions to how they feel about you based off their feelings, based off what they've been through, based off their past trauma. But it's not actually as true as they make it to be. Everybody when they see men, when they see males, you know, the critique is very potent. Um it's very it's heavy. You know what I'm saying? It's heavy on dudes. It's heavy on everybody. And so when you're out in the world and you want to work a job, or you want to do music, or you want to do fashion, or whatever the case, you have to work through these certain things, these certain aspects. You have to go through these different trials. You have to be um, you have to be ready for the critics. You have to fight through their opinions, and you have to stay locked into your mentality. Because if you don't, then you'll ultimately succumb to their beliefs, to their belief system. You'll treat their belief system as if it's the the realest thing, but it's actually not. Nothing that anybody says is as real as they make it to say, as they make it to be. You know, it's kind of just it's just their perception. You know, but you have the final word. You have the final say, and that goes with everything you do. Whether if you're an athlete, whether if you're a musician, or whether if you're a podcaster, or whether if you're um, you know, if you're just an entrepreneur, you have to trust your instinct to the best of your ability. Don't let people's perception be so heavily influenced on your life, because when you do that, you're going to succumb to what they believe. and you're going to be chasing that validation for the rest of your life. You're never going to become anything great. You're never going to experience life in the way that you envision because you've been visioning other people's belief. And that's a big thing that I had to learn when I reflect. I reflect a ton, and I look at, think about things a thousand times over, and I just look for patterns. I look for things were that seemed, you know, or if I had a situation and it went wrong, I ask myself, I say, where did it go wrong? And then I just replay it, and I just try to remind myself. I try to gather it and try to come up with conclusions, or come up with, problems, or try to come up with solutions to the problem, or what I think to be the problem. Um, and every time I reflect, I realize that I let other people's perception persuade me to believe it full fledged. I let other people's beliefs um, hijack my mentality, and you end up chasing the validation of what you end up chasing the validation to the point you lose your train of thought. And so the biggest thing is to not let that happen. Always go with your train of thought, always trust your instinct, and always believe in who you are. Yeah. If y'all are watching this on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/NateSilver03. We have 3 followers right now, but eventually we're going to amass, and we're going to keep going. Like I said, the goal is to get to 100 followers on Twitch, and maybe I might do something special. I don't know, but that's the goal right now, is to get to 100 followers. Um, so just, like, sub up, um, and just hit the follow button. Um, if y'all watching this on Spotify, just go ahead and hit the follow button. If y'all watching this on YouTube, just go and subscribe real quick. Give it a like. Comment something. Comment something I've said um, that you could retain, or something that you will take with you when you go to work or when you go to school. Just leave a message. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it for today, man. Like I said, Nate Silver is back, episode 7. It's the Nate Silver podcast. It was great talking to y'all. It was great, you know, giving y'all some words. It was great. It felt good to be back, um, behind the mic. I mean, in front of the mic, and just um, kind of giving y'all my spiel as to what has been happening, or what has been going on, um, in this time period. Um, like I said, I've been gone for 2 years, and it's been a journey, and it's been difficult, and it's been confusing, but it's also been healing, and it also has been humbling. And so, being back in this position, putting myself back in this position to be in front of y'all and letting y'all know that it's gonna be all right is the is one of the most single is one of the single most best things that I look forward to doing, and I look forward to being back on this platform, giving y'all some more wisdom, giving y'all some more messages. Um, I look forward to reading the comments. I look forward to seeing what y'all have to say, the feedback, and what y'all want to hear me talk about on the next episode. Um, so, like I said before, if you're watching this on Twitch, go and leave a follow. If you're watching this on YouTube, go and hit the subscribe button. Give it a like, leave a comment. Um, and if you're watching on Spotify, just go and leave a follow. Um, but I'm gonna go and get off here. Y'all stay safe. Y'all be patient. Y'all be take your time. Um, but also just don't let nothing stop you from being great, and don't let nothing um, hinder your dreams or your goals. So I'm gonna go and get out of here. Till next time.